Hi everybody, this is Coach Rogers here. I am the founder of the My Digital Self Career Coaching Agency and the host of the Career Coach Talk Show. For those who don't know me, and those who do know me, welcome to the back. Thank you for watching yet another one of my videos. Recently, I have been putting out a lot of posts, both static posts and a couple of videos talking about the journey. The journey for becoming the person that you are looking to become, whether it be a professional or personally, if you're trying to become a better version of self. And I think one of the things that we can do sometimes is get a visual. I think it's really good if we can kind of get a visual to help understand and be ready to be properly prepared for the journey. One of the things that I wish that I had a better understanding of was that, I never had a doubt that I was going to successfully graduate from high school, or that I was going to go to college and finish, being a first generation person to do that in my family, or to go on and, eventually have a business and, grow that business and become successful and be of value to others and all that stuff. I never had a doubt that was what I wanted, and that was what I was going to always work towards, and that it was going to happen. What I was not ready for was the different points of the journey and where and how it takes you there, because again, as I mentioned in the previous video, I thought it was a step by step process, and it goes like that. But it's more like that roller coaster, as I mentioned again in another video, how it goes like here and then whatever. So it's like you don't know or even have a semblance of what this journey is going to look like, and you can't make a decision on continuing based on where you are at a certain point of the journey. You just got to continue and fight and work through that. Now I can tell you that verbally, and I think for those who can hear me, you can understand the concept and get it. But sometimes a visual just makes all the difference in the world. So I want to use this video here to introduce this concept, using, for example, the entrepreneurial journey, because it mirrors a lot of the other journeys that we have toward the great things that we're trying to become or something that we're trying to accomplish. So with that, I just kind of want to share this visual with you. So this is a visual of the entrepreneurial journey by a graph, right? So as you can see, I'm going to take my attention and bring it over here on my side, but you guys can see it over here. So if you see right here, it starts off with, before startup, that white line, dotted line you see going across, right about there go my hand. Don't disappear. This right there. Anyway, you see it. But at that white line you see there, that represents kind of status quo. That represents kind of, where you are, the comfort line, where you kind of, you're living, you're paying your bills, maybe you're living check to check or whatever, but you still, that's the comfort line where you are. Now, that represents before startup. Now, will you have that initial enthusiasm? And that could be represent going through an entrepreneurial journey. And that could be represent, I'm going to go to school and go major in this and get this degree. Or I'm going to, start this business. Or I'm going to get this new job, doing this new type of thing. Or whatever the case, I'm going to start writing this book. You have that spike. It's like, you start posting, I'm making it, I'm doing it, look at me, I got chapter number 1 written, I'm taking the first class and I passed it, so you usually have that first shot of endorphins that makes you feel like this was such a great idea, and I'm so happy that I started this process, right? And you're thinking it's all upside from here. But what you don't seem to understand is that you're going to start facing what's called challenges, because you are now bucking against the status quo. It's just like when a plane is lifting off from the ground. It's going to hit the highest amount of gravity the closer it is to the ground than it does as it gets up to 30,000 feet. You know what I'm saying? It's not as much gravity up there trying to pull it back down as it is just 5,000 feet off the ground, just 500 feet off the ground. There's more gravity there, so guess what? You're going to run into some challenges. That's just a part of the process. And that's what this graphic shows you, that you're going to hit those challenges, and guess what? You're going to fall below that line that you are so used to. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to keep falling below that line. And you're going to keep falling below that line. And then you're going to keep falling below that line. I had to say it at least 3 times because that's what it feels like. I guarantee you, you will find yourself a business owner. You will find yourself somebody who, you know, is trying to do something that they've had their heart and mind and soul just really working towards creating and has accomplished it, and it will tell you this is what that stage feels like. You know, so you have what's called minimal growth and low traction. Minimal growth. Trip on about it, it looks like it's going down, but it describes it as minimal growth and low traction. Understand, for example, how the bamboo plant grows, or how a lot of other plants that's going to be tall and big, how they grow. It has to first grow down. The higher up it's going to be, the further down it has to grow, because the roots have to be able to support what it is that you are building up. If something springs up real quick, you can almost guarantee you those roots are shallow. As soon as some challenge comes, it's gonna pick it right on up. But if something has grown down and down and down and well rooted, and then it starts to come up a little bit, good luck trying to kill it. Good luck trying to pull that up. Even if it's this much, you would not be in a mess with it, because those roots are ridiculous. It's going to grow, and you won't be able to stop it at that point once it does break ground. So, but first it has to grow down, right? And then you get to a point when you finally stop falling down till you hit this point where it says you start experimenting and pivoting. You decided not to quit. You experimenting and pivoting. It doesn't matter what type of business you have. I don't care if you're doing textiles. I don't care if you're baking. I don't care if you're selling a product. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to have a service, whether you're trying to sell a product, whether you're baking, whether it's you're doing t-shirts and mugs, whether it's a particular service where you're giving people advice, whether it's whatever it is, whether you're being a fitness trainer, or you open up some other type of business that provides some type of product, whatever kind of service. A lot of times you're not just going to take off immediately, and then if you do, you're still going to hit a point of plateau where you're going to have to experiment and pivot in order to continue the growth, in order to continue this process. So the next continuation step is a part of basically any journey. Using the entrepreneurial journey again as an example is where you have to experiment and pivot, and it looks like you're not moving, not going up. That's the important part that I really want to show you here. It looks like you're literally it looks like that's my new comfort line now. And when you're in this process right here, what you're doing is that you're remembering the old comfort line. You're like, shoot, man, I used to have this. I used to be able to do that. I used to at least have this. I used to at least be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? I used to at least. And now, you can find yourself over romanticizing a previous life scenario that you actually weren't really all that happy about. It's just at this time, as you're going through this process right here, it just feels worse temporarily than where you were previously. So as I'm saying these things and you're looking at the visual, hopefully this helps to kind of get the concept, broken down and understood. So the next stage that you see after that is that it starts working, but it doesn't start working and shoot up automatically. It starts working a little bit, and then it kind of falls down. It starts working a little bit more, and then it kind of falls down. So at that point, you found something that works, right? And now you're trying to make it to where, you know, it's scalable. You know, you're trying to make it okay. These many people, these different people, identify my actual customer, people that actually wants. Okay, what's the price point? Okay, what's the scale? Where are all these people located? What's the best? What's the logistics involved? You know, saying how do I communicate with this? How do I craft the right kind of wording or messaging to get their attention? Now I know who I'm talking to. All those type of things is what's happening at this particular stage. So that's what's happening at that stage. As you notice, that starts working process, that timeline is less than half the time that you spend in that process than what you did during the experimentation and pivoting. You know what I'm saying? It's also way less of the time when you start hitting those challenges and it starts falling. So when you hit this point at any given moment, that's where you need to be celebrating. You hit the point where you find stuff that's working and you're starting to get, and it's starting not you know what I'm saying, and it's no longer flatlining, it's doing this. Because at any given moment, you're going to start seeing some steady gains. Steady gains. And when you start seeing those steady gains, it does not stop. Things you haven't been able to do for a long time, you start to be able to do a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. Until you get, finally, after all this time, you get back to that status quo level that you were before. But now you're not the same. Now you're different. You're not the same person when that started at before startup. And you're not going to plateau so quickly at like you did a initial enthusiasm. You're going to go, see how it's just going up. You know, it's going up, and it's just going up. It's going up. The chart can't even hold and show you their entire levels of going up that it goes to. You start going up so far, you would never see that status quo line again. Which is why I mentioned earlier that the awesome thing about this journey is that once you break through, with being tenacious and consistent, constantly learning, constantly applying, constantly trying to improve and do the next thing better and better and better, even in the face of what looks like nothing is freaking working and happening, like you were at the experimentation and pivoting process. The chart can't even hold your progress at that point, and you will never see that status quo line again. You'll never see it again. It's in the past, and you can sit back, not necessarily sit back because you're going to be constantly growing, but you'll be able to look back and speak to those who are at other various stages of this process, from before startup all the way to where stuff starts working, and you'll be able to say, hey, keep going. Don't quit. Be consistent. Allow yourself the opportunity to go through that growing phase, that rooting phase, that figure it out phase, that get it working but it's kind of going up and down phase. And it's all worth it. It is all absolutely worth it, because again, you'll never see a status quo line again, and the chart will be able to hold you. Look how high up it's going. It's off the charts now. That's what your journey can look like. So just again, this is just to help people prepare for what the journey could actually feel like. And I'm using the entrepreneurial journey as an example, but this is again a representation of almost any journey for those of us who are trying to do something great, become something great, or bring something great into fruition that's of great value to the world around them. Well, I hope this was helpful. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. And yeah, this is Coach Rogers with another part of our discussion series, kind of an extension of the previous video I did about, preparing for the journey, words from my heart. I just thought I'd give you guys a visual so you can kind of have that to look at it and see what it is I was referring to. You guys have an absolutely blessed day. If you have anything you want to ask, or you want to get more clarification on, or you want to share, whatever, please do that. I'll be happy to respond wherever you see this particular post. Or if you see it somewhere where you don't know, or if you're just listening, shoot me an email at coach@mdself.com, like Mary and dog, Mary dog, mdself.com. It stands for my digital self. And I will happily respond to you. Again, it's Coach Rogers, and again, thank you so much for watching, and you guys have an absolutely wonderfully blessed day.